Welcome everybody to another video. I'm wondering if this should start being a Hannahcast. I'm wondering if this all should just be the Hannahcast. Let me know, these little videos where I talk about things in great detail. I don't know. Let me know. This seems like I honestly think this is a pretty good format for the Hannahcast moving forward. After all, I literally changed the channel's name to the Hannahcast, but whatever the case may be, I'm gonna be talking about a couple of things today. Because I feel like these are the only two things majorly that I felt was going on in entertainment that I felt like I could talk at length about. Like there was, the end of Boba Fett, like the book of Boba Fett. I guess I could briefly say, I thought it was decent. Loved episodes, was it 5 and 6? I think it was episodes 5 and 6 because wasn't the whenever who shows up, and I don't know, but overall it felt like a bit of filler for the most part. And then I finally got to see Licorice Pizza last night. I actually didn't like Licorice Pizza. It was one of those movies I don't like where it's a movie about nothing. And I really don't like that. I really don't like movies that just do nothing and that there's no real central plot. It's starting to become a trend in movies. And I don't like that. I don't like that this is becoming a trend. And plus, I thought the pacing was bad. Although anything involving Bradley Cooper was entertaining as hell, where he's playing John Peters. And if you know John Peters, he's a Hollywood producer, a real one. And he's said to be kind of crazy. Like, really crazy. So, anything involving Bradley Cooper I thought was great. But the movie itself, not so much. But whatever, a lot of other people love it. Now, among the Best Picture nominees, all I need to see really now is Drive My Car. I need to see Drive My Car. And then I also definitely need to see The Worst Person in the World since it's in there for Best Original Screenplay. And I definitely now need to see Parental Mothers since Penelope Cruz is in there. But regardless, yeah. I'm going to be, like I said, the two main things I'm going to be talking about today, one of them is talking about the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion. And the second one is the longer one, which is where I feel like Disney Plus is going. Because there's a bunch of news circling around Disney Plus right now, and I think I know what the end game goal is for Disney Plus. So, there we go. But let's first talk about Jurassic World Dominion. I'm not gonna lie, like this was not in my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year, because because I didn't like the first one, like Jurassic World. I liked it when I first saw it, but then it just progressively got worse. You know, it got progressively worse. The more I watched it, and then I saw Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and I was like, all right, well, I definitely didn't like this. Um, you know, so what have you? Although I will say, I thought the visual effects in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom looked way better than that of Jurassic World. I will say that. Even though I thought Fallen Kingdom was a worse movie, the effects looked a lot better. So I will give it that. And it felt a little more grounded in reality. Because one thing I didn't like about Jurassic World was that it was so science fiction. It was so science fiction-y to the point where it didn't feel like Jurassic Park anymore. And it seems like that. Oops, sorry. And it feels like with Jurassic World Dominion, they're going further in that direction. Okay. Well, first look at this. Like already, Weirdly enough, I am going to try to break down the trailer a bit to tell you what I do like about it. I still don't know if I still can't have faith in this movie because of the first two Jurassic World movies. But one thing, if you notice, like, we're seeing dinosaurs in the snow. That's already an interesting choice to have there because, you know, we've never seen this in the Jurassic Park franchise before. We've seen dinosaurs in the jungle, and we had like a scene in Jurassic, in the Lost World where a T-Rex was roaming through, San Francisco. I think no, San Diego, and that was about it. And for the most part, it's just dinosaurs in the jungle. But with this, it does give us, you know, a new kind of look and feel to this. Also, I gotta say, man, they have perfected the dinosaur effects here. That is something I will say. Is I wasn't that impressed over the effects in the first Jurassic World. Although I will say it might be due to the fact that the movie was so obnoxiously saturated and brightly colored to the point to where it made the CGI stand out that more. Because I'm not like a practical effects over CGI kind of guy. Like, if they wanted to go full CGI here, that's fine. It can be done to great success. It can be done to great success. I mean, you know, look at the Jungle Book. The Jungle Book had practically nothing, well, practical in that film, and everything looked amazing. The Lion King, I don't care what anybody says, you know, that was the first ever completely photoreal animated movie, and everything, like the animals looked real, the environments looked real, and you have to keep in mind that all of this rendering, all of that animating, all of those simulation effects in the Lion King remake, all of that has to be done in, like all together, and the light simulations, the shadow simulations, all of that has to be done together. And that's not easy, and I don't care how much everyone hates the Lion King remake. You have to acknowledge that the visual effects were groundbreaking, and that they were fantastic. But regardless, you know, the fact that the dinosaurs there were no practical effects in, you know, the first Jurassic World wasn't really my main issue. Because again, you can go full CGI, and yet have it still look good. You could still have them look good. Just like how in practical effects, you know, practical effects are not always the right option either. It really just depends. It really depends on how well do you use the effects you have. And as we see right here, this is phenomenal. Like, this is like some of the best dinosaur CGI I've ever seen in my life. Like, look at that. Like, I've always been kind of on the design for the Velociraptors in Jurassic World. For me, my favorite of the, you know, Velociraptor designs was in Jurassic Park 3. Like, that's where the textures I thought were the most interesting. You know, we had the little quills on the head, which give a little bit more of a variety in there. So yeah. But, I mean, this scene right here, I gotta talk about this. Like, look at this. Remember when I was talking about having things feel like they're grounded in reality? Like, the situation-wise? Like, there's not any kind of big science fiction stuff? Look at this shot right here. Look at that. That shot is amazing. That shot is incredible. Like having the camera just strapped onto the ship as it's going down. And I'm willing to bet that's entirely CGI too, which, if that's the case, in amazing water work. Those are some amazing water simulations right there. But again, this is showing us something we haven't quite seen before. Like, I mean, granted, yeah, we saw Spinosaurus attacking a boat in Jurassic Park 3, but not something to this scale. And definitely not shot like this. Like, this is still shot in a very interesting way. That, like, That T-Rex looks amazing. You know, yeah, like that looks fantastic. Although I will say that's literally the exact same pose that the T-Rex made that when she was stepping out of the enclosure in the first Jurassic Park, which is one thing I also don't like about these movies is that the callbacks to the original Jurassic Park movies, or at least or really in this case they really just try to reference the first one in and it doesn't come off as cool. It comes off as kind of desperate. Like, yeah, the new, like, Force Awakens and Last Jedi would call back to the originals, but it was still done organically. This, it's just like, oh, look, this dinosaur just so happens to make the exact same pose it made in the first movie. And I was like, come on. Like, come on now. Now, I mean, and of course, as we know, the original cast is coming back. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, and granted, I do really like these characters, but again, I just don't have faith in this. I just don't. Okay. Again, just talking about the visuals, this is also what I like. Like, I like just seeing, some of these animals just, going about life, and even some of the animals that we have today are adapting. Like these horses. But again, the CGI here just looks amazing. Okay, this is interesting. Because everyone's been talking about how, this dinosaur looks like it's trying to eat Bryce Dallas Howard. But I don't think it is trying to eat her. Take a good look at this. Also, you can notice that this dinosaur has feathers, which is interesting. Although I don't think a feathered dinosaur is. I don't. A lot of people are going, "Wow, they're doing feathered dinosaurs. That's going to fix this franchise." It's like, no. I mean, the feathered dinosaurs are kind of cool, but it's still not going to save the screenplay. I mean, hell, even having better effects than the first film. I mean, in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, the second film. Uh, it fixed an element. Like, but then again, that was really about CGI. Like, this is not really about the quality of the CGI. This is just a design choice. But anyways, regardless, let's look at those claws. Now, granted, I think Colin Trevorrow, the director, already said what this was, but from the moment I saw those claws, I was like, I know for a fact that is Therizinosaurus. This is Therizinosaurus. And if you don't know, it was it had the longest arms and claws out of any dinosaur proportionate to its body size. But here's the funny thing. It was not a carnivore. It was an herbivore. Or at least what we scientists speculate that Therizinosaurus was an herbivore because there are other dinosaurs that looked like that were probably related to Therizinosaurus that were herbivores because of the teeth, and so biological deduction, scientists believe that Therizinosaurus also ate plants. And so a lot of people are saying that this Therizinosaurus is trying to eat Bryce Dallas Howard, and I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's trying to eat her. What I like now, granted, this movie could just say fuck all and hey, yeah, this dinosaur's eating people, which would be kind of stupid. But regardless, I think this Therizinosaurus is acting out of territorialness because here's the thing about herbivores they need to know. Just because an animal is an herbivore doesn't mean it's not dangerous. I mean, look at hippos. Hippos are herbivores, and they cause the deaths of 500 people a year. Like, they are literally they rank number 2 in the animals in Africa that cause the most deaths, and number 1 is mosquitoes. So it's like hippos are literally more, and it's not even hippos you gotta worry about in Africa. There's elephants. Like, elephants can be extremely aggressive, and God help you if you run across a male elephant going through must, which is pretty much when around mating season, an elephant a male elephant gets boosted up with tons of testosterone and starts attacking anything near it. Uh, like that can get real bad. Then you got rhinoceros. Then you got like rhinos, which have such poor eyesight that they will attack anything that moves, or hell, anything that they can smell that's living. And plus, like rhinos just are pretty stupid anyway, so they'll even attack termite mounds. At least from what I know of. And then you have the African Cape buffalo, which is all sorts of hell. Uh, but regardless, I think that there is a source that we are seeing in Jurassic World. Dominion is attacking out of territorialness. Like, it sees Bryce Dallas Howard and its territory, and it's like, get out of me, swamp donkey. So there's that. But anyways, let's look at a little bit more in the trailer. Where? Also, there's this dinosaur. I don't know exactly what this is. I don't exactly know what dinosaur that is. Now I know there's another dinosaur in here called Ostroraptor. But I don't know. I don't think this is the one. It's like another scaly dinosaur, a scaly raptor that we see in like Italy or something. Like this dinosaur. That, yeah. But I have no idea what this is. I hope to God it's not another like mutant abomination dinosaur, like Indominus Rex or Indoraptor. Just let us have like real prehistoric creatures to worry about. Like, you don't need to make big mutants. Like, just let us have like real species that are dangerous, and that'll be fun. Like, that's look at Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic Park 3 didn't need to make up a dinosaur. They just went with Spinosaurus, and that was great. So yeah. Then okay, I love that. Like, I don't know I have no idea what these are. I am honest to God clueless on what these are. Like, are those like thousands, or are those like thousands of tiny pterosaurs in the distance? I have I have no clue what that is. Um, like, these are osteoraptors. Also, wait. There's an Allosaurus, and is that a Carnotaurus? On the left is clear. No, on the right is clearly an Allosaurus. That's what is the one on the right a Carnotaurus? I think that's a Carnotaurus. I think that is a Carnotaurus. There is the Osteoraptor again. Um. Ooh, this is another part that I will say I've never seen before. I like this. This is taking things to the next level with species that already exist. Now, granted, on a physics level, this would never fucking happen. But, however, uh, but whatever. Let's just, like, suspending disbelief, we have Quetzalcoatlus. Like, okay, that's a pteranodon right there. Um, okay, that I like seeing the Pseudoceratops knock down. You know, a truck right there. But okay, let me go back to the Quetzalcoatlus, because this is actually really, really cool. Yeah, that is amazing. Now, if you don't know now if you're wondering how big exactly is Quetzalcoatlus, this still might be a little bit too big. But even then, like, it's not that big of a deal. But if you want, but even then, Quetzalcoatlus was huge. It was like as tall as a giraffe. And yes, in case anyone's wondering, this thing could actually fly. It could actually perform powered flight. because its bones were really hollow. Like these things, like I'm like, hey Google, how heavy was Quetzalcoatlus?
A Quetzalcoatlus weighs between 200 and 250 kilograms.
Okay, and if you don't know how much that is in pounds, it says it right here, 440 to 550 pounds. So 550 pounds, that's like a quarter of, that's only like a quarter of a ton. So, like, and for the size of a giraffe, like, that's pretty impressive. Now, again, on a physics level, I don't think Quetzalcoatlus would ever be able to do this. But this is something I am willing to, suspend my disbelief on, because this is a really cool sequence right here. And again, there's the Pteranodon. I don't know why the Pteranodons in this world have such tiny crests. I don't like that, especially when we had much cooler designs in Jurassic Park 3. All you needed to do was just take out the teeth. So I don't. There's a herd of Triceratops, and again, I do kind of like that they're adding in like these actual car stunts in there. Okay, I don't know I don't know what Clone Girl's happening going. I don't know what's going on with Clone Girl right here. I think that's like, and there is Dilophosaurus, and if I'm not mistaken, that's an animatronic. And we get the main cast here. Like, we got, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern. And there we get the big baddie of this movie. Actually, and if you don't know what this is, this, if I'm not mistaken, is the big dinosaur baddie for this film, Giganotosaurus. And I just realized I did not pull up an image of Giganotosaurus. Let me just pull up an image of Giganotosaurus real quick, because I actually have one. I just didn't put it in this one for some reason, because I'm a freaking idiot. Dinosaurs. Oop. G. Giganotosaurus. So yeah. This, now, for a while, people, like, scientists were wondering if this was bigger than T-Rex. I don't think it is bigger than T-Rex. If I'm not mistaken, it may have been longer by, if I'm not mistaken, T-Rex was still larger by mass. Like, out of any carnivorous dinosaur, T-Rex was still the biggest, because when you're talking about size, you gotta take, like, the main factor is the weight. Like, how much does it weigh? And by pure mass, by pure weight, Tyrannosaurus outweighs even Spinosaurus, despite Spinosaurus being longer. And obviously this is also apparently bigger than Giganotosaurus, although, again, I like Giganotosaurus. I like that they're adding in this in, Jurassic World Dominion. Do I still think Jurassic World Dominion is going to be good? I don't have much faith in that, because the first two, like Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I don't think have been very good. Because it is tough. It's just that the characters made such idiotic decisions. There were clear, good guys and bad guys. I don't like. Whereas in Jurassic Park and even Jurassic Park 3, there weren't any, clear-cut good guys and bad guys. I mean, the first Jurassic Park had Nedry, but he wasn't really the villain per se. Okay, well, he caused everything to happen, but I mean, it's not like, aha, I have this evil plan right here because I'm evil. It's like, no, he's just some wormy guy who wanted to do something, who did something stupid. But regardless. And obviously in this Jurassic World franchise, Dr. Wu is the bad guy. Which I don't get. Why is Dr. Wu the bad guy here? I never once got that. Like, of all the characters, why Dr. Wu? Why this guy that barely had any screen time in the first Jurassic Park? Why is he suddenly bad? I never got that. Like, so, yeah. But yeah, I will. Like I said, it was a good. Oh no. Like I said, this is a good trailer. Um, but you know, and the effects do look amazing, and I do like how, at least so far, everything just seems grounded in reality. No dumb science fiction bullshit. Like, because one thing I always liked about the first Jurassic Park was that, the really the original Jurassic Park trilogy really is that the only science fiction element in there were the dinosaurs. That was the only science fiction element. Everything else could happen in real life. And that's what made Jurassic Park so believable as a story. It's that, like, even though, granted, the technology to clone dinosaurs could never actually exist in real life, you know, it felt like it could exist because everything else was so realistic. And that's why I like about the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion here. It's that the scenarios seem somewhat realistic. And the stunts seem somewhat realistic. I like that. I like those elements. And again, the effects look like they're at their best here, and that they're getting even more complex with the feathers. And in the case of Quetzalcoatlus, the fur, and yes, I am talking about fur. Like, it's kind of weird with pterosaurs; they have like this fur-like filament on there. I'm not gonna act like it makes much sense, but nature doesn't always make sense. So yeah. Regardless, what are your thoughts on the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion? I want to know your thoughts, and let me know. Um, the ooh yeah, the next topic I want to get into, and really this will be the final one, but this is the meat. This is the crux of the discussion here. In that, if you guys don't already know, uh, we all know the Netflix Marvel shows. Yeah, the Netflix Marvel shows. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Defenders. I don't know if there are any others. I'm not gonna lie, I have not seen these. Mainly one of the reasons why I never really saw them is because okay, like, I didn't have for one, I didn't really have Netflix until now, but also they never really felt like they were true Marvel canon because the shows never crossed over into the movies. The shows would sort of reference the movies, but they were never really connected. That was until, and I'm going to get into some spoilers for Hawkeye and Spider-Man No Way Home, but I mean, seems pretty, everyone kind of knows them already, so. But regardless, fair spoiler warning for those two. In Spider-Man No Way Home, we saw Matt Murdock, aka like who we know as Daredevil, show up as Peter Parker's lawyer, and he was played by Charlie Cox, the guy who did the Netflix Daredevil series. And I was like, what? And then out of nowhere, like in Hawkeye, uh, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin showed up. Now, granted, I don't know if that's the exact same Kingpin. Now, granted, again, I've not seen these, but from what I've heard of Daredevil, like in Hawkeye, in Hawkeye, like Kingpin can like survive bullets. He can, like he can get blown by an explosion and be perfectly. Basically, he's a superhuman. But as far as from what I've heard in the Daredevil show, he's just a regular guy who's really violent and really strong. He's not a superhuman, which does make things interesting. In that, how are these going to fit into the MCU? Because at least by this standard, they're not canon, or like I don't know. It's very weird that way. Either that or Hawkeye just really fucked up. Because granted, in Daredevil, I don't think they really with Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home, from what I've heard, nothing really contradicts what we know about him in the Daredevil series. Although granted, uh, he only had like one brief scene of screen time that was like maybe a minute long. So, probably even less than a minute, to be honest. But regardless, there we go. Well, the reason why I bring up these shows is that if you go on Netflix and try to play these, these say that they're being removed from Netflix. These shows, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Defenders are coming off of Netflix. Now, it's not been made official that they are coming onto Disney services, the Disney streaming services. Although, really, it's like it's not official, but everyone knows what's happening at this point. Everyone knows it. And this really made me think about a bunch of things I've been thinking about Disney Plus recently. I mean, hell, now, because this raises an interesting question that I bring up. Are the Netflix Marvel shows going to Disney Plus or Hulu? Now, the reason why I say this is because Hulu, initially, Disney said that Hulu was going to be their home for mature content. But I noticed something pretty early on. And it was probably around 2020 when I started realizing this. And it was, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021. It was one of those. But Hulu added this thing called FX on Hulu, which, if you know the FX channel, that has things like, Archer, American Horror Story, all that stuff. Well, it just so, Hulu added that, and they obviously added some shows, there's currently Pam and Tommy playing, and all that stuff. But Disney has not really done much to grow Hulu. They have not expanded Hulu into other territories, and in fact, I'll get back to that here in a bit. They have not really changed the Hulu interface at all, which is something I don't like the Hulu interface. It's very hard to get around. But this really made me start wondering, as to whether or not as to whether or not the Netflix Marvel shows that we see right here are going onto Netflix or going onto Disney Plus or Hulu. Now, here's another thing that's very interesting. Disney Plus has just added The Wonder Years, Blackish, and Grownish, or at least select seasons of Blackish and Grownish. Well, granted, yeah. And when I'm saying The Wonder Years, I mean The Wonder Years reboot, and they're going to be adding in West Side Story. Here's why this is very interesting to me. Now, granted, I've not seen The Wonder Years, I've not seen Blackish, I've not seen Grownish, and this kind of goes back to a quote that Disney CEO Bob Chapek made. And it's this, and I'll get back to that content here in a bit, but he basically said the following in I think it was in a meetings call for investors. He said, "So on the Disney Plus US side, you mentioned that we're roughly a third penetrated. We still have some headroom in each one of our major franchises in terms of those viewers. Those fans will have expressed interest in subscribing, so we are not nearly tapped out on each of the major franchises if someone identifies as a Lucas fan, Star Wars, or as a Marvel fan, or as a Disney fan. The biggest opportunity in terms of significance is with general entertainment being added to the service." He continues, "We mentioned that today we're adding in Grownish, Blackish, and a few other titles into our service. I think that will be a trend of us taking more general entertainment and moving over to Disney Plus. Because, as you know, 50%, slightly over 50% of our consumer base on Disney Plus do not have kids. It is a very broad general service, of course, driven by the Disney brand and driven by families. But what we've seen time and time again is that the elasticity of Disney and its brand is much greater than we might have given it credit. This, I feel like, here, like, this is making a bunch of sense. Now, granted, I have not seen Grownish, I have not seen Blackish, and I have not seen The Wonder Years. I have seen West Side Story. And coming out of West Side Story, I will say, I was wondering, because this also goes back to another thing I mentioned. Not that I mentioned. This also goes back to another piece of Disney news that I didn't really make a graphic for. But HBO... Now, in case you don't know, HBO Max... like 20th Century Studios was still in a contract with HBO Max to stream their movies, to stream 20th Century Studios movies on their service until 2022. But then Disney bought, and even before Disney bought 20th Century. But this is again where things get interesting. Recently, Disney Plus and HBO Max came to an agreement where, I don't know where in 2021 this starts, because as far as I know, the earliest is Free Guy, because Free Guy is coming on to Disney Plus. But then again, I'm assuming, let's just say the second half of 2021 and all of 2022, within that time frame, half of the movies released by 20th Century Studios or Searchlight Pictures or any of the other 20th Century kind of movies there. Half of those, after they play in theaters, will go on to HBO Max exclusively, at least for a little while. Then they'll go on to Disney streaming services. Half of them will have the pay one window exclusively to HBO Max. But the other half of those movies will be shared with HBO Max and Disney. And we've already been seeing this, where, both HBO Max and Hulu are currently currently have Nightmare Alley on their services. And on the HBO Max exclusive part, The Last Duel, which is a 20th Century Studios movie, is on HBO Max and not on any Disney streaming services. At least not in the US. I should also mention, this agreement is only based around the US. Internationally, that they are just going to go to Disney Plus, like all 20th Century movies. But, and one of those movies, and we've already seen that Ron's Gone Wrong is now shared by Disney Plus and HBO Max. Later on this month, Free Guy is coming on to Disney Plus and HBO Max. And starting March, within the first week of March, West Side Story is going to be shared by HBO Max and Disney Plus. And here's why that surprises me a bit. At least how West Side Story is going on to Disney Plus and not Hulu. Because granted, West Side Story is PG-13. However, I've seen West Side Story. It is a very, there are some very, happy moments, the America scene, as you can see in the poster, like it would be bright in America, all that stuff. This is more aggressive and more gritty than the original West Side Story film. Whenever the sharks and the jets are fighting, it feels like a real fight. People are smacking each other on the head with crowbars or pipes, and it's not the kind of superhero movie violence. This shit looks like it hurts. And of course, you have characters stabbing each other, shooting each other. And again, it's one thing to see that in a superhero film, but it's another thing to just see it like happening in a somewhat realistic world. I mean, aside from the fact that everyone's dancing and singing and whatnot, but like this is a very aggressive kind of film. And I was actually kind of on the fence as to whether or not I was going to go on Disney Plus or Hulu. West Side Story is coming on to Disney Plus, but now reading Bob Chapek's quote and noticing that the Netflix Marvel shows are coming off of Netflix. Again, looking at what Bob Chapek is saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the Netflix Marvel shows are going to go on to Disney Plus. Now, granted, they could go on to Hulu. I mean, now, okay, regardless, eventually they're going to go on to Disney Plus, and I will explain here in a bit why. I'm going to talk about where Disney Plus is going. But this is the really main. But this question is really about when. When are these coming to Disney Plus? And my prediction is that it's probably going to be sooner rather than later. And again, here's why. Disney's already experimenting with adding in, more general content. Now, again, I have not seen Blackish. I have not seen, Grownish. But again, on West Side Story, though technically it's PG-13, it's a very harsh PG-13. And Chapek has already said that Disney Plus is going to try adding in more general content. And this stuff and the Netflix Marvel shows would count. Now, again, I have not seen these, but I did talk to, Raphael, who has seen these shows, and he said that these shows are very rated R. Like, there's, like, sex, blood, like, all, like, drugs, just, this is, like, these shows are apparently very R-rated. But, at the same time, but here's the thing. We just saw Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin from Daredevil, in Hawkeye. We just saw Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home. Those are R-rated properties crossing over into more family-friendly properties. And so, I have a feeling that this stuff right here, this is testing the waters. And this stuff is testing the waters. Again, with West Side Story, it's a very violent film. It's a very aggressive film. It is very brutal. I mean, granted, it can be very happy at times, but it is a much more aggressive film than the original 1961 version, or was it 66? I don't know. The one in the 60s. The one that also had Marina Moreno, because I didn't realize she was in this one. She's in this one too. And so yeah. And here's where I get more into why into where I think this is going. Because again, Bob Chapek said he wants to have more general content on Disney Plus. Well, internationally, if you guys don't live in the United States, you know what I'm talking about. Because outside of the United States, Disney Plus has Star, where they do have general content like Deadpool, The Martian, Archer, Family Guy. Die Hard, Logan. This would be considered more general content. And I just remembered that I completely forgot. I just completely forgot to add in that little element. Where is it? Yep, there we go. Yep, hold on a second. Because when you go internationally on Disney Plus, this is what you get. Because normally on Disney Plus, you just have Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, those hubs. Internationally, they have a sixth section called Star. That's where they have a lot of the content that's not that does not have the Disney name on it, like whether it's 20th Century Studios or Searchlight Pictures or ABC. But you can find a lot of the more general content on there. Like again, you can see health. You can see The Shape of Water. That's a movie where that scene right there in The Shape of Water is a woman fucking a fish. So, so there you go. And so I feel like I feel like they're going to eventually incorporate this into Disney Plus. Now, why haven't they done that yet? Well, it kind of goes back to the whole Hulu thing. Hulu still operates, but again, notice how Disney has not done much to grow Hulu. Notice how I mean, yeah, they have FX on Hulu, but you know, they haven't really done much with everything else. Like the interface is still the same. They have not expanded Hulu into different countries. They've just added Star onto Disney Plus. And labeling Hulu originals as Star originals. Now, in the United States, I feel like I feel like we're eventually going to get to this point. Now, how do I explain this a little bit more? Because there's more that goes into this. The reason why Disney has not expanded on Hulu, is because I feel like they are going to one day absorb Hulu into Disney Plus, and we're probably not gonna get this like the Star one, but it's going to be Hulu. It's going to be Hulu. Or another theory that there is, honestly, it's not a bad theory, but I'll get to that here in a bit. Like this, because obviously, I don't think it's gonna be Star because there's already a streaming service in the United States called Stars with a Z. Um, so I think it's probably just gonna be Hulu. But the reason why Disney hasn't done it yet is because a third of Hulu is still owned by Comcast, which owns Universal, DreamWorks, and by 2024, which is really not that far away when you think about it. By 2024, by 2024, like Comcast is going to sell their shares of Hulu to Disney Plus, and it's not a matter of if, it will happen by that point. So that when Disney my theory is when that happens, Disney is going to make some radical changes to Disney Plus. Like this is where they're going to put everything into overdrive. But again, I feel like they're going to start with the baby steps, because right now, I feel like, yeah, because right now, although let me, yeah, although why I mentioned the Netflix Marvel shows in this, because I feel like this is going to be the next phase. Because Disney has already experimented with more mature content with Blackish, The Wonder Years, and Grownish, and West Side Story. They're already experimenting with that. Bob Chapek has already said that Disney Plus is going to try to go in a direction where they add in more general content. And since even though granted, from what I understand, these are still very rated R, it's still Marvel. And now that these are pretty much part of the MCU now, it's like this is going to be the next step. Let's add in these Marvel shows. Let's add in these Marvel shows because they're technically in the MCU now, and we don't have to make any big changes. Unlike the Hulu stuff where we would have to put in Hulu and what, or I don't exactly know how that would work or anything like that, but it's still within the brand of Marvel, so they could do this. And I'm going to say this, Disney Plus has now people are probably going to be wondering, oh, well, wouldn't they want to protect their brand? Well, like, because what if, like, a little kid goes onto Disney Plus and, and accidentally watches Daredevil? That I don't think that will be a problem, and I'll show you. Because the parental controls on Disney Plus are out of this world. Like, they're honestly kind of amazing. Because you can set your a profile pin to your account. And granted, like, you can have, and obviously, like, you can have up to like 7 accounts on, not accounts, but like 7 profiles on Disney Plus. You can have a PIN number on your profile. And so that's going to be a good way for parents to deter their kids from watching, naughty content. And not only that, but not only that, there are also the content ratings. Yeah, there are also the content ratings. I'm going to show you here in a bit. I mean, but I can't show you I can't show you. I have to get. But the reason why I'm not showing you what I'm doing right now is because before it lets you, change content, change the content labels. You have to put in your password. You have to put in your password to do that. And again, that's going to be very hard for a kid to do because obviously the parent, like, mom and dad or whatever, or any parent, I'm not exactly sure what you would call a non-binary parent. Although if you are a non-binary parent, let me know. I'd like to know what your kids call you. But yeah, you can literally set the content rating to whatever. Like, you can set the content rating, and again, the kids aren't going to be able to change it because you have to put in, you have to put in your password first, and they can't just go onto your profile because it has a PIN number, and a kid's not going to be able to figure out the PIN number that well. Especially if you really think about your PIN number. Like, don't have it be like 1111 or 1234 or something like that. But what my point is here is that people are worried that, like, oh man, what if a kid, stumbles on to watch Daredevil accidentally and they're watching sex? Granted, I've not watched Daredevil, so I don't know if there's sex. But the parental controls on Disney Plus are the best I've ever seen in any streaming service. No other streaming service has parental controls this secure. And so I don't think Disney's got to worry about that. I don't think they have to worry about that. Now, what does this... And so I kind of feel like, I mean, there is still a chance that, it could go to Hulu, that the Netflix Marvel shows could go onto Hulu. That is a possibility. But, however, I think there is a good, solid chance that these shows could end up on Disney Plus. Because it's already in the Marvel brand. You're already crossing over these shows. And I'm going to tell you guys this. I kind of heard from someone kind of spilling the beans that Daredevil's going to be in She-Hulk. He's going to be in She-Hulk. So they're already crossing this over more and more. So why not add these shows to Disney Plus? And again, you have the parental controls to make sure the kiddies can't watch them. Just set the parental controls to where, the kids can't watch these. but yet you still can be able to watch these shows. And honestly, like, this makes too much sense. Actually, I just realized. Hey Google, when is She-Hulk coming on Disney Plus?
2022. According to Inverse, She-Hulk.
Okay, so it doesn't really say exactly when, but it is coming in 2022. Actually, let me just make sure 100% real quick. Okay, it says, yeah, She-Hulk Season 1 will likely release around September or October 2022 on Disney+. Plus. So, again, at least that's what it says right here. So, yeah, somewhere in 2022. I think that gives enough time for, Disney Plus to start testing the waters a bit before adding these shows in. Uh, you know, they're adding in Blackish, they're adding in Grown-ups, they're adding in The Wonder Years, they're adding in West Side Story. Could they maybe they add in Family Guy? Who knows? Like, they could probably do that. Or Bob's Burgers, because Bob's Burgers has a movie coming out, and it's not that adult. It's not as adult as Family Guy, but they could do that. They could introduce, Bob's Burgers onto Disney Plus around when the movie comes out. And so and if She-Hulk does arrive somewhere in somewhere in September, October, this is giving them a lot of room to play around with this stuff. And I feel like right before, but again, the Netflix Marvel shows are coming off of Netflix right around March. So could we see them add in these shows to Disney Plus sooner rather than later? It would seem like a big jump, but again, they're already, adding in this stuff in around the same time or before that. And so, yeah, and that's not, and to be clear, this is not where it ends. This is not where it ends. I feel like Disney Plus is going further with this because, and this is something even I didn't know. Now, I saw this one little graphic that someone put on Reddit, and, they said it as a meme, but honestly, I don't think they're too far off. This is done by Charlie Alex on Reddit. Now, again, aside from the, Premier Access thing, like, the Premier Access thing can burn to the ground and die. But, look at the content hubs. They add, they changed Star Wars to Lucasfilm. They added in 20th Century Fox, ABC, FX, Hulu, and ESPN. And again, I know this is a meme that they probably made. I don't think we're too far off from this. And again, aside from the Black Widow on Premier Access thing, I mean, granted, it was on Premier Access, but aside from anything having to do with Premier Access is stupid. All this other stuff is not bad. It's not a bad idea. Because, I mean, because you have a lot more of the brands. There's a lot more of the brands. Like, changing Star Wars to Lucasfilm, I think would honestly not only be a great idea because, but I think I have an idea of how they would go about it. Because, now, as you know, Lucasfilm has made, they made Star Wars, they made Willow, but one thing they've also been known to make, they also made Indiana Jones. And they're currently filming the new Indiana Jones 5. But, however, here's the problem. That's being made and distributed by Disney, but what is currently not being distributed by Disney? the Indiana Jones quadrilogy. You know, the first four movies, like, you know, Raiders, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The distribution for those movies belonged to Paramount. But when thinking about it, it'd be like, wouldn't it be kind of weird to have like one Indiana Jones movie on Disney Plus and all the others scattered around? I have a feeling that sometime before, like either before before Indiana Jones 5 releases in theaters or before it launches on Disney Plus, after its theatrical release, I think Disney's gonna buy back the distribution rights to the first four Indiana Jones movies, so that they can put them on Disney Plus. And that would create an incentive to change the Star Wars hub on Disney Plus to Lucasfilm, because it's a lot more broad, and you know exactly what it is. And again, even then, you know exactly what it is. 20th Century Fox, or 20th Century Studios. Again, not a bad idea there. It's a big studio with lots of movies and shows. You have ABC. There's a lot of stuff there. FX, definitely a lot of stuff there. Hulu, National Geographic, they currently have that, and ESPN. And you know what? This gets into my next This gets into my next point, into where I think Disney Plus is going, because this ESPN thing right here, I don't think that's far off either. That's honestly something I see happening. And now, because remember when I said I feel like Hulu is going to absorb itself into Disney Plus? I think ESPN Plus is going to do that too. And you know why? Because it just so happens, and I didn't know this during my Oscar nominations live stream, that Disney Plus live streamed the Oscar nominations show. They live streamed the Oscar nominations, and apparently from the sound of it, they said that it was a big success. Because they were trying to because they're trying to test out live streaming on Disney Plus. And again, they said it was a success. And even internationally, like I think in like, I don't know if it's Central America or something like that, but they have Star Plus, which is sort of like Disney Plus, but with a few new things built into it, including live streaming sports. And it just so happens that now Disney Plus, in live streaming the Oscar nominations show, I feel like this says a few things. For one, I feel like that now it makes it a possibility that the Oscars could maybe get live streamed on Disney Plus. I mean, why not? And plus, it would definitely boost up the viewership for the Oscars, because who's getting cable anymore? If you can do that on Disney Plus, you're going to get way more viewers than that. And again, this is where the live streaming comes in. Why is the live streaming so important? Well, if you're going to absorb ESPN Plus into Disney Plus, you're going to want to live stream sports. And again, what better way to show that you can live stream sports than by showing that you can live stream the Oscars? And what better way to show that you can live stream the Oscars than by live streaming the Oscar nominations? If they can, you have no idea how significant this is. This is hugely significant. If they can, pull off, live streaming sports onto Disney Plus, then this is game over. This is a meme I found on Reddit. But, again, aside from Premier Access, I'm hoping Premier Access just burns and dies. But with these content hubs, changing Star Wars to Lucasfilm, adding in 20th Century Studios, ABC, FX, Hulu, ESPN, this is not crazy. This is not a crazy idea. And we're already seeing the evidence for this happening. Bob Chapek has said that they want to add in more general content to Disney Plus. They're doing that with the Wonder Years Blackish, Grunge, and West Side Story. And it just so happens that right now, that the Netflix Marvel shows are being taken off of Netflix. Gee, I wonder why they're doing that. And normally I would think these are going to Hulu, but we're already seeing more mature content come onto Disney Plus, and we've already seen Bob Chapek say that the company wants to add in more general content to the service. And we're already seeing this happen in other territories outside the United States where they do add in more content. And we are seeing Disney Plus evolving into getting into the live streaming business, where they're live streaming programs like the Oscar nominations, which again, I feel like they're going to do the same thing with the Oscars. And if they can do it with the Oscars, they're sure as hell going to do it with sports. This, I feel like, is where Disney Plus is going. They're they are going to combine this all into one streaming service. And logistically, and PR-wise, because, with, the kids and saying, oh, but what if kids stumble onto this? Again, Disney Plus has the most secure, parental controls out of any streaming service. If they have been prepping for this, we are going to see Hulu and ESPN Plus absorb themselves into Disney Plus so that we have one big mega Disney streaming service. Just Disney Plus. Everything is just on Disney Plus. And having all these different content hubs, I feel like would be very navigatable and very easy, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It would be a very smooth way to look at it. And again, I don't think we're getting the Hulu. And again, it's only going to be a couple years until Disney Plus takes over Hulu anyway, completely. And again, just looking at foreign territories, they've already shown that they are prepping for this. They are prepping to pretty much abandon Hulu altogether. Or maybe they'll rebrand the live television aspect of it, or even then, do they want to be in the live TV business? Making deals with other, television channels, or do they just want to put all their energy into Disney Plus? And I feel like we're already seeing the hints of this. We are already seeing the hints of this. And I feel like the next phase is streaming the Oscars on Disney Plus and streaming the Netflix Marvel shows on Disney Plus. Because they're already going to cross over. They've already been crossing over these shows anyway. We've already seen Kingpin and Hawkeye. We've already seen Daredevil, or at least, Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home. We already know that Matt Murdock is going to be in She-Hulk later this year. This is where they're going. This is why I believe these Netflix shows are going on to Disney Plus. They're going on to Disney Plus. Again, they could go on to Hulu. They could very well go to Hulu. And I wouldn't be too shocked. But with where Disney Plus is going right now, again, I'm looking at, them live streaming the Oscar nominations. I'm looking at them adding in a little bit more mature content. I'm looking at this quote that Bob Chapek said about Disney Plus growing to add in more general content for general audiences that doesn't have to be family friendly. And so, yeah, I feel like this is the future of Disney Plus. Again, aside from, Premier Access. These content hubs like these 12 content, or wait, no, no, wait, no, it's 10. 10. This is not far off. I think this is the trajectory Disney Plus is going in. I think this is where it's going. And I feel like we're going to get more information about this. Oh my god, I just realized something. Disney Investor Day, March 9th. Disney Investor Day this year is March 9th. And this, the timing of everything makes complete sense. Yeah. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Defenders, and The Punisher. I knew I was forgetting one. I forgot about The Punisher. Are all seemingly leaving Netflix by March 1st. After removal notices have shown up when viewers try to watch any of the series. Look at the timing. Look at the timing of all of this. All of this happening at once does not happen by coincidence. It does not happen by... Oh man, I'm getting a little bit loud there. Oopsies. This does not happen by coincidence. It doesn't. The Netflix Marvel shows leaving Netflix on March 1st. Disney already adding in they've already added in these 3 shows, like Wonder Years, Blackish and Grownish. Right, like they've already added those shows in right now. They're adding in West Side Story on March 3rd? Like, I think it was March 3rd. Let me look at this. I actually need to get a better look at the poster. They're adding in West Side Story March 2nd. So, yeah, they're adding in West Side Story March 2nd. Again, and Bob Chapek recently making this quote right after... Blackish and all that stuff was added onto Disney Plus. And Disney Plus just recently, airing the Oscar nominations. And it just so happens that March 9th is the Disney Investor Day when they usually announce all these big changes coming to their streaming services. I've cracked the code. I've cracked, like, they're all going to be announcing a lot. Like, they are announcing a lot of these new changes to Disney Plus on March 9th, on the Disney Investor Day. They're going to, like, this is probably when they're going to say that the Netflix shows are coming onto Disney Plus. Again, I don't know when, but, Again, they might also announce that they're adding in that they're going to be streaming the Oscars on Disney Plus. Again, it's just all of this happening at once cannot be a coincidence. This cannot be a coincidence. It's all happening around the same time. So yeah, I think we are... I believe this is where Disney Plus is heading this year. They are getting more serious about adding in more general content. I think we are going to go alongside, the Netflix Marvel shows getting put on Disney Plus. I feel like we're going to get, because currently, at least in the United States, I'm pretty sure if you actually got Disney Plus in other countries, you can set it higher. But currently on Disney Plus, you can only go as high as like TV 14. And if you have a VPN, you can go on to Disney Plus in other countries. But even movies that are R-rated, it kind of depends on what kind of R-rated. Because like you can watch Die Hard or Alien, but you can't watch Deadpool or Logan. If you at least if you're in the like, or if you're in the if your Disney Plus account is from the United States and you're using a VPN. I feel like they're going to change that this year to where you, again, they're going to add in more mature content. And I'm just, all of this is making complete sense now. Like Disney Plus is getting into the live streaming business with the Oscars. They're going to get into the live stream. They're going to get into the mature content base with not only these shows as a test, but also the Netflix shows, because that's already in the Marvel brand and people are already familiar with those, so people already know what content is on these. And I think we're going to find out a lot more on March 9th. This is crazy. And so, like I said, I'm pretty sure Charlie Alex on Reddit was making a meme out of this. They're not far off. I do not believe they are far off from this at all. So yeah, guys, what do you think of my theory? Do you think it's a good theory, perhaps? What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any objections in the comments? Let me know. Click that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. Also, don't forget to give this video a like while you're at it. And thank you for watching this video if you watched all the way through. But like I said, I do like this format where I'm just getting really in depth on a certain topic, because this whole thing about Disney Plus. I mean, I talked a little bit about Jurassic World Dominion, but this whole thing with Disney Plus, it's about to get crazy. It's about to get way crazier over the course of this year. And like I said, I feel like we are going to see the Netflix Marvel shows on Disney Plus. But regardless, I need to end the video. So yeah. Anyway, guys. Yeah. I don't think I have much to say here otherwise. But bye.